Good morning, guys. It's currently Saturday, the 4th of December. I'm just going to do a quick video. This isn't any educational content. This is just covering, I guess, why we've moved where we've moved. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit, kind of as per usual. And this is not so much a I told you so, but more to do with kind of why I was saying this and why, obviously, with what Paul's been doing on the streams, with what I've been talking about these last couple of months. The fact that we had very little volume, from this move up, really, right? A lot of people will say, as the price gets bigger, the volume increases. You could see that, from here, which was actually above these levels. And we had decent volume over here. So, it's really a flawed argument for the volume in the grand scheme of things. We had low volume up. And now, what I covered in the last stream with the COT data was we had the COT data moving up in terms of the shorts. And a lot of people would say to me, the big guys are getting wrecked. These guys are the ones that were selling to the retail, and the retail are the guys that are always losing. So you could see, matter of fact, that we weren't going to 100K in this cycle, regardless of what Plan B and other gurus were talking about. We just weren't getting there. And there was lots of logic to explain why we weren't. Okay. So to start with, let's go back, fair bit in time. We've talked about this a million times. This has played out to the pip, right? This has been absolutely perfect in terms of the moves up, moves down. This is the first play. We then moved on up and we've come back. Oh, surprise, surprise, to where exactly? The previous value area, right? So there's nothing really shocking. This was actually written on the 18th of March. Okay, so this is something that we teach in terms of Discord. We've shown a million times on these streams. It's almost getting like a broken record. The point being is it's doing what it's doing. It was already written. It was already mapped out. So much so, we wrote the roadmap again. I think it was the 26th of March. This is basically the updated version. We spoke about previously where we were in the particular move. So, from this one here on the 26th of March, we were at the weekly 3, down for a weekly 4, up for a weekly 5, which in essence give us a monthly 3. Okay, so that was the overall situation. And again, surprise, surprise, nothing's really changed, nothing's altered, nothing's moved out. Now, this particular one was one that I'd actually shared for the guys in our Discord group, the paid members, subscribers within Discord. And you can see the kind of calls that we've had, from the top, obviously from the bottom, and just explaining, why we are where we are. Okay. So playing this out, you could see this again, 2nd of September. I was expecting a drop down 4, rise 5, after a 5. What actually happens in Elliott wave terms? You have a drop. Okay, so again, nothing really complex, nothing kind of surprising. Now, coming into why the drop, why the value area. Now, we've obviously just explained that being here. We've come down to that value area. Something else, I posted this into the future, September the 30th, you can see there. I posted the high for this particular move. To come on down, you got clusters around you. Something else that we've got a couple of videos on within Discord. Something else that we can show you. So, in essence, we've come on down. We've come into the value area, which was called back in March. We've ultimately moved up, right? The forecasted upside of the move was basically this line here, okay? So I'm going to come across to the chart, and I'm just going to add what we have here. Where were we to? It's interesting for the group, okay? So I've updated this a little bit more, and there's some reasons for a couple of extra lines I'm not going to cover in this video. But, all I wanted to show on this one is going back to the 30th of September. We moved on up, right? So, 30th of September being around there, look, right? So we were at this point when I was saying, hey, we got an upside forecasted target. We come up, and what did we do? Reject off it. We've come back up and we faked out through it. We struggled to stay above it. We've come back down through it, and we've come back and tested, practically. I mean, if I zoom in on that particular move, let me see if I can kind of zoom right in on the move. And all we've done is we've come, we get rid of some of the ones I've just drawn. So we've come back and we've actually to the pip. Now, bear in mind, this line was kind of forecasted on the 30th of September, right? Down here. Literally, the retest to the line. If that isn't enough to justify institutional money flow in control, strong hands in control, then I don't know what is, okay? Now, you can see from the size of clusters, the way that the clustering works is that the heavier the cluster, the more of the magnetic pull that we have. So where was the bigger cluster, for the move? Well, from here to there, okay, giving us obviously this level here. And what did we do for the drop? Boom, 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 into the zone. Nothing complex. So I think, for me, it's just a point of highlighting what we're seeing, why we see it, why we've stuck to our guns, and surprise, surprise, we've come back down where we said we were coming down to. So next thing's going to be covering, where next, I guess, in terms of the roadmap. I'm not going to do that just yet. This is obviously the weekend. Let's let the dust settle. Let's see where the fear, kind of subsides. Let's see what happens kind of next in terms of price action over the next 24 hours. If I was to guess without doing any kind of analysis, I'm guessing we're going to spike up a little bit from here. That's going to cause a lot of retail to just jump straight back in on the FOMO. They're going to jump in with the assumption that we've just bought the dip. And I think we're probably going to go for a slightly bigger dip. So that might only be a stop loss hunt, but I think that's the next bit that I'm going to spend a bit of time doing in terms of the assessment based on the current price action. I think for me, it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday now before I really kind of get my teeth back into this. But, grand scheme of things, guys, it's done no different to what we've said. I think in terms of someone like Plan B, it was 92K the guy was calling in April. We went down to 28. He's called a 98 now for November, 42 gig off again. I think for me, stock the flow model, on chain analysis, there's a lot of manipulation that can go on in terms of on chain. And I think in terms of the stock to flow, it all comes down to the demand. And although, yes, people will say the demand is there, if the supply is plentiful, and clearly from the COT data we showed in the last video, supply is more than plentiful right now. So I guess the overall thing is that you're going to get a kick in the teeth. It's actually happened. It's happened again. Um, kind of guys, old school analysis. This is, Wyckoff, Elliott. These things are over 100 years old, and it's actually a pleasure to see these things playing out kind of in front of your eyes. This is the first time that I've witnessed this um, in terms of a new instrument and actually seeing it go in from, I've been trading this since 2011, seeing this go in from kind of the technology plays and very early on adopters into small cap type investors, angel type investors, all the way through to some large enterprise and institutional buyers and sellers now of this. But the more professional this becomes, the more sustainable, I guess, the TA becomes and more comparable to Forex type analysis, where these methods, such as Elliott and Wyckoff, are all playing on the emotions of the humans that are actually, kind of in the pit trading this. So I guess it's a really cool thing to witness firsthand. And the more and more these kinds of levels are pinged, the more and more confidence you can actually then put into the analysis. So yeah, enjoy your weekend, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, not much of a lesson, more of a I told you so. But yeah, have a good weekend, and we'll see you in the next video.